Everybody, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your weekend. You know what we're here for, so let's talk about it. So WEBULL. We kind of got what we wanted out of so far for the first portion of this trade, which I suspect is going to be heading back to go back here and we look at this chart on the monthly. Alright, you had this bar come in when WEBULL came into inception. They've been here for a while, but I think they just started trading here in the stock market at around here, and we had our opening debut and it gapped up to about $26. Ran as high as $79.56. Okay, then as it started to sell off, as most of them do when they first come to the market, because here it's just, they're just trying to get some money to do whatever they are wanting to invest, or R&D, or whatever the company needs in order to get that money. Okay, so they got that lump sum come in, and then of course now you get this sell off, and then so here we are now today. Alright, well, not today, but going back within the last 3 months. Okay, so we had that sell off, we had an initial sell off come down, we found a bottom down around $13. Then it bounced up, ran into some trouble at $18, came back down, passed through that 13, found kind of a bottom at around $11, $12 or so, bounced up, retested that 13 for resistance, confirmed it being resistance, and then sold off again. Then it found its true bottom at around $10. Okay, so that's where we stepped in, or where I started taking interest in here. Okay, then we get our initial start to consolidate, and then we start to get a push, some testing in here at around 1192, and we finally get this bar here where it took out all of this. Alright, and at that point we knew we were ready to run. Well, we pushed up into $14 or so, and that was on the 3rd of July. And we actually got a high on the 3rd of July at about $15 or so. So we knew we can get back up to $15, but we knew we were going into that 4th of July weekend, and we wanted to kind of be cautious. Alright, so with our caution, and over the weekend we got the pullback we thought we were going to get, and it settled in back around this $12 area. Okay, tried to push up again, couldn't do it, came back to $12, where we got our double bottom, boom and boom. Alright, and then we took off. So that's where we are at today. Okay, so this bar here where we took off was the 16th. We had our 16th, 17th, and 18th, and of course the weekend, 19th and 20th. So tomorrow will be the 21st. Okay, and it'll be a new week of trading for us. It'll be a full week of trading, which is good. Okay, so it gives us a chance to capture, hold, and add, or capture, release, recapture, and add, or however the week plays out. We're going to find out beginning Monday morning. But if we look at the between 16 and 1550, we're kind of bouncing around. Haven't quite decided where we're going to go from there, but that might just be our midway point, okay, between this sell-off and this bottom, because we hit 1722, bounced down around $16 or so, $16.50, bounced back up, and then we sold off again. Then we came all the way down to about $14, and then took off and bounced back up. Alright, now they call that, I believe that right there would be called a dead cat bounce, right? But I'm not really sure if that's an actual dead cat bounce. It looks like a dead cat bounce, but when I go to the 4-hour chart, is that the 4 hour we're looking at? Let's see. When I go to the 4 hours, alright, we get this nice little tail here. Okay, that came down to around 14.12 or $14, whatever you want to call it. Alright, and it bounced back up and couldn't close below 15.53. Alright, then we got this bar came in and it couldn't close below 15.53. Alright, now we're sitting in here bouncing around, like I said, in that 2-minute chart, right? Bouncing around between those two lines, between 15, let's say 1580 and 16. Alright, so if I go back out to the, let's take the 5-day 15-minute chart, looking at it, a 15-minute chart. Alright, we know we had the sell-off, right? But then we got buyers came in and pushed it back up. Now, I don't, you want to call that a dead cat bounce, or you want to call that buyers buying it back in? I'd rather call it buyers down here waiting to buy, buying it back up, as opposed to it being just the stock selling off, hitting the bottom, bouncing up, and now it's waiting to sell off again. Okay, because I believe there's people waiting down here to buy this, and so I don't believe that it's, you know, just something falling off and bouncing back up just to fall off again. Okay, could be people are buyers and sellers, or sellers are waiting back up here to try to recoup their, you know, whatever they lost coming out of here. And then they're going to sell, and maybe that's what caused it to sell off again. Or it could just be the fact that, you know, some people there's some sellers up here, and there's buyers down here, and it pushes the stock back up. In any case, we know that the struggle is happening in between here at $15.80 and $16. Alright, there's a bit of a struggle going on in here. Even on the 15-minute chart, it looks even more like there's a struggle. But we know that here, every time it hits $16, there's a sell keeps coming in. Sell at 16. Alright, sellers here at 16.24. Okay, so we'll have to see what happens coming into Monday morning if we get this more sellers coming in. Alright. Because who knows, maybe these guys down here, you know, here on this bar, maybe somebody jumped in and bought a ton of it, and they pulled back and they bought some more, and it took off, and they got really happy, and then, you know, they were planning on holding through the weekend like me, and then this happened. Now they're in a little bit of a panic because they're like, ooh, came and took out everything that I had, and would have stopped me out down here as well, if my stops were down there. Of course, I've been in this trade for, you know, since about $11-12, so my stops were way below that. So so it probably made a few people nervous, the ones that were jumping in here late and riding this up. Or they might have just jumped in and rode it up a little bit and took profits, and that's what we're seeing here. But at any rate, we know that the 15-minute chart is showing us as, you know, as this being a good consolidation area. And the only thing we really can do at this point is wait for the morning when the market opens. And really, in the morning when pre-market, we can kind of see what it wants to do, because we know that we closed on Friday. The close was what's that? $16.89 was our close. So our close was up here somewhere.
Right.
So we closed way up here, but then in the after hours is when they were sold off. So basically what that's a sign is that, people had their orders to sell at close of business. So they closed at close of business. They sold all their orders, and this is where we fell to. And in the after hours is, I don't know why it hits this bottom and go ahead. Must be some after hours buying down here somewhere. Stop the stock from falling. Maybe there's some trades that were set to buy in the after hours at this price. I don't know, but there were definitely some buyers down here and we picked back up. So, long story short, we need a little more data, but we do know that there's some buyers down in here at around $14.52. So if we do get a sell and we start to pull back in the morning, look for 14.52 to be a good area to start picking up some shares. 14.52, 14.12, and 13.72. Anything below that, and then I'd start to get a little concerned. So let's see here. If you look at it on our 4-hour chart, all right. So we know that it put us back down into this major move where we came in right here at $12.92 when we pushed up. Okay, so not taking that area back out. Halfway point there. 13.72 would be the lowest I would think that this pullback, if it does sell off in the morning and come back, I'm looking to load up around maybe 13.72, 14.12, 14.52. So we'll see how it plays out. But I don't suspect that we're gonna come all the way back down in here. This stock continues to push higher and higher, even with each push. And given that, so we're gonna be looking to push up through this $18 area here real soon. 18.49. So we're gonna get through 18.49, maybe push up to about $20, and then maybe pull back to retest that 18.50 area as support. All right, but I don't see. If you look at it, if you look back to the left, there's not a lot to the left from over here. You gotta really go way back to see where everything was happening at. And 1849 was that last over here resistance most recently. And if we can get up through there, come back and retest for some support, then we're looking to go higher after that. And I would be saying maybe from there we're looking at about maybe at $28 would be the next target. Maybe run into some resistance at around 22 or so, but 28 is going to be the target once we get through this 1849. Alright, get through 1849, retest for some support, push through up through to about 21, 22 or so, push through, come back, retest for some support, and keep pushing higher. so far we're looking really good in this trade. Um, you know, we tend to sell off every weekend, but that's just normal. You know what I mean? There's nothing really to be worried about there because, you know, you're gonna. From what I can tell, there's you know, in these times, you want to be kind of careful with your investment and carrying it through the weekend, knowing that you know that the government we have currently is fickle, to say the least. I don't want to say fickle, but you just never know what you're going to get. So you can be sure that it's going to be something, but you're just not sure how everybody's going to respond to it. So you have to kind of be careful with your long-term trading. But definitely the market's continuing to go higher. The stock market is not doing anything worse than what it's been doing. It continues to push higher and continues to look stronger with every day. And a real quick rundown. Alright. Change this 3 months in a day. Alright, we know Bitcoin is consolidating between 117 and 123. We got oil is starting to sell off again, but it's trading a little bit lower, but it did have a nice push of higher. We'll have to see us back into this range that it was in the past, but we had to break below 63 to be really back into that range for sure. The E-mini pushing higher, nice push up above the moving averages, the major moving averages, so we know we're in the uptrend in the mini. Ethereum futures pushing higher, a lot better than it was looking here recently. It's doing much better. Pushing higher with Bitcoin. You got gold. It's kind of trading within this range here, 35,000 and 31. You got natural gas, which was pushing for a minute. Now it's kind of selling off and starting to head down lower like oil. You got the NASDAQ. And NASDAQ continues to push higher. You got the moving averages coming up underneath the support, so that continues to push higher. You got silver, continues to push higher. Silver's been doing really good lately. And you got the Dow continuing to push higher. So really there's nothing to worry about as far as the major markets are looking, or major indices, or whatever you want to call them. So if these continue to push higher, you can expect your regular, your decent stocks to continue to go higher as well. So that's what gives me even more confident that our WEBULL trade will continue to go higher. As long as the market continues to push higher, so will our other stocks. It's just a matter of how long and how hard will they push. So far we've been having some pretty good volume in WEBULL, and as long as we can keep people interested, we'll continue to push higher and push and pull on that trade. And so far the volume has been huge, and that's what we want to see. So if we can keep the momentum, keep the volume coming in, we can keep the stock moving higher. That's all I really need. So pay attention in the morning for the pullback. Don't be too hasty getting in. You might want a dollar cost average as it pulls back, so you don't miss the move up, but be ready for the move up, because the pullback won't be too long or too deep, I believe. Like I said, we may pull back into this $14, $13 area, but that's a good place to load up with some more to go higher. Preferably if we can stay above this doji here, before the close of that doji. If we can stay up here somewhere, $14 area. I would prefer that better. But if I can load up around 14.52 and take it up higher, that would be great too. And pick up some more shares there. Alright, so that's all I got on this one. I hope it was somewhat informative. Like I said, I'm still long WEBULL. I still think that we got a lot more to go, a lot higher to go. And I'm trusting that getting into the end of the year, we're probably going to be up around $40 in WEBULL. At least to be at around $30 by the end of the year. $30 to $40 by the end of the year in WEBULL. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think with the momentum that we got going in right now, and then the interest in the stock, I believe it can happen fairly easily. All right, especially with the momentum that we're getting in Bitcoin and the hype that is pushing too. All right, so like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.